Welcome to Vital Signs. I am here today because we believe in bringing new, leading edge, and everything you need to know about healthcare, wellness, and vitality. I'm really excited to be here with you today because I have a very special guest who is a true expert in her space. I am here with Jennifer K. Hill, and we are going to talk today about mental health and well-being. We're going to talk about stress and resilience in the workplace. So without further ado, I introduce to you my dear friend, Jennifer K. Hill. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's such a pleasure to be here with you and with your listeners and your audience.
So let's dive into the nitty-gritty. There is an epidemic happening right now. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, as many people may be aware, 83% of U.S. workers are suffering from work-related stress, such as anxiety and depression. It costs businesses upwards of $300 billion annually. And the biggest thing is people are losing their lives over this. We're seeing this with young people. I was just speaking with a young man and he said, you know, people in my generation who are graduating, they don't know what the future holds. You have AI on the one hand, that people are being worried that they're going to be obsolete. Then you have on the other hand, just the world, the wars, what's happening. And I think people are not at peace with themselves. And one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves, Jen, is resilience and tools for self-regulation.
So we were talking before the show a little bit about some of the tools that we have both had in common. And so let's talk about how do we build that resilience? What is a tool that we could immediately put to use and take away for my audience so they can start to build that resiliency muscle?
You know, one of the first ones that comes to my mind is our perspective. One of the reasons that we feel so frustrated is because it's like we're being chased by tigers, except our sympathetic nervous system doesn't understand there are no tigers chasing us. It's picking up the kids, it's meeting the deadline at work. So the question is, how do we begin to see things as an opportunity rather than an obstacle? So can I give you an example of this?
Please do.
Okay, great. So I was just giving a keynote about this a couple weeks ago in LA. And one of the things that I start off with is neuroscience, because many of your listeners and viewers out there might be saying, okay, is Jen gonna hop into some woo-woo stuff over here? I'm gonna give it to you straight, this is scientific. So number one, every second of every day, Jen, right now in those 10 seconds, you have 11 million bits of information hitting you every second.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, so you just had like over 100 million bits of information hit you. Any guesses as to how many of those bits of information we're paying attention to?
Probably all of them.
40 to 50 bits at
Wow.
a conscious level. Subconscious level, 11 million bits. This is leading science tells us this. Conscious level, 40 to 50 bits. Doesn't that make you wonder what's happening to the other 10 million?
Yeah, where does it go?
So what happens is, it's our filter. It's what we're looking for. It goes back to what I started with. We are treating life as though we're afraid, we're terrified, we're running. That's why our bodies are in this hyper-aware, hyper-vigilant state 24/7. Well, what we can do is just like, imagine if I have a miner's helmet, right? And on this miner's helmet, all I have is a little pinprick of light. So if I look up, I'll see what's up. If I look to the left, I'll see what's to the left and to the right. So too is our perspective and our consciousness. So like you and I were talking about before the show, I was sharing a dear friend of mine here in Austin, Texas, and we text each other every day, how does life get any better than this? And what we're doing is we're then redirecting those 40 to 50 bits of information per second to the things that are going to help us feel more revitalized, more happy. Imagine you have a jerk at your office who's yelling and screaming. Now, you could go into the history and all the millions of bits of information that prove that person's a jerk, or you can do what I was taught. Can I give you a business example?
Please do.
So, hi, I'm Jennifer K. Hill. I'm a recovering jerk. Nice to meet you. I apologize to anybody who worked with me back in the day. I apologize. Please forgive me. Thank you for being in my life so that I may love you. I didn't realize what a big jerk I was. So when I say I was a jerk, I used to send the all caps emails. Are you all a bunch of morons? What is wrong?
Oh, no.
But fast forward, it was only 6 years ago I got diagnosed as being high functioning on the spectrum. So I didn't realize that my brain just worked totally differently than everybody else. So I'm running my first company. I don't know how to manage 2 sticks. And I have a team member who's one of our earliest team members, and she makes mistakes. Now, imagine, out of all the things I could be paying attention to, I'm honing in on those 40 to 50 bits of information of where she's making mistakes. In comes my business coach, which I know you're a coach as well. Coaching is the best thing you can do. He says, Jen, what if the reason that she is failing is because you are looking for her to be a disappointment? And I was like, ooh, excuse me, I was like, them be fighting words, Julian.
Yep.
And so he challenged me, and he said, I challenge you that every day for the next week, write down one thing that she is doing well. That's it. You don't even have to tell her you're doing this. You're just going to do it for your own edification. And so I began, and I did it a bit begrudgingly at first, of like, I don't know if I can find anything good, right? Because, you know, we're blaming. We're in a society that's taught to blame circumstances, people, etc. But the moment I found the first good thing, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth wound up being easier and easier. She went on to be one of our most successful team members and take over the company after I sold it. And so that's what we're focused on. That's how we came to develop OptiMatch, and what we're doing now is understanding what has people feel psychologically safe. What happens if you have friction among team members? How do you teach people to communicate better so that way we reduce stress, increase psychological safety, and most importantly, as you and I were talking about before the show, how do we enhance high trust relationships? Because with the state of AI is going to take over a lot of our roles. So what's going to be the most valuable commodity is trust.
Right, and that's back to getting back to being human.
Yeah.
And trust is about having that real deep relationship. So let me ask you a question, because we all are operating in people soup. I'm just going to call it people soup. If you're in an organization, there's people soup. People have all kinds of experiences. They come from different walks of life. They may be having challenges at home, whatever. They're bringing this to work. We're a company that's like many others, and they do not have a psychologically safe space. What is the first thing for us to start that process?
So that's where we come in with OptiMatch. Is what we do is every team member on the team will often answer our matching survey. It's 20 questions. It took 8 months to develop. We have a team of psychiatrists who helped us vet the questionnaire. And then what we do is we see, how are you motivated? How is Jen motivated? How is Charles motivated? And when we begin to look at how people are motivated, then we can ascertain, okay, let's say one person's motivated by facts. Have you ever worked with somebody like that, where they can't move forward unless they have sufficient detail and facts? Well, imagine you just hired that person and you're throwing them to the wind. You're like, okay, get started. And the person's like, I don't have enough information. You haven't given me enough information. And then they start trying to just keep swimming to keep their head afloat. But if you knew that they were motivated by facts, then you could tailor their offer, you could tailor their onboarding, and you could tailor who manages them and how. Like when we get people who are very highly motivated by facts, I work with a lot of CEOs around the world, one of the things we do is we teach them, count to 120 when you're going to talk to somebody who needs more information, because for you or I, Jen, we can sit out here and go, it's like going back and forth. But for people who aren't motivated in the same way that you and I are, that means they need more time and space, and we often talk over them in meetings. So if you're not aware of this at a conscious level, if your 40 to 50 bits of information per second aren't aware that, this person might be being swept under the rug or not have a voice. So step one, understanding what does motivate somebody. Step two, learning how to speak to people who are motivated differently. Somebody like you or I, where we're driven, we like fun, we like doing things, the way to communicate with us is down, dirty, fast, straightforward. That's completely different than the other type. Somebody who's highly motivated by people needs to feel a sense of connection. They want you to ask a lot of questions about them and remember things about them. And all of these are different. And then once we do that, then we realign managers sometimes. We'll create a dotted line. I had a company I was working with out of Lisbon. It was hilarious. The CTO thought he had to scream at the employees to get things done, which I could relate. Hey, as a recovering jerk, people, I'm not here to judge. I was like, I've been there, I've been in your shoes. So number one is we helped him realize that he didn't have to do that. You transform your limiting beliefs, which there's all sorts of technology and tools for that. And then number two, the people who he had over 20 points variability with, according to our algorithm, we created a dotted line instead to people who the team members would feel more psychologically safe with. Because I'll give you a fun example. I just got back from 3 weeks in India and Asia. I was invited to speak there in front of 100,000 people. And one of my girlfriends was traveling with me, and we had never traveled. Have you ever traveled with a friend before?
I have.
Now, have you ever fought with a friend while you traveled?
Yes, I have done that too.
Yes, many of us have, right? If you're traveling with somebody, even if they're your dearest friend, chances are you're going to like nitpick at each other. Day 3 of this trip, my friend and I are in Sri Lanka. She says, Jen, why don't I re-answer your matching questions? I'm like, bring it on. So we're sitting at Sri Lanka airport, she's answering it. The results pop up and immediately tell us, I am her number 3 match out of thousands of people in our system. So the whole rest of the trip, we called each other number 3. We didn't have a single fight the whole
Oh,
trip.
that's awesome. Imagine if you could find those and build your team so that everybody's in that kind of a level of compatibility.
Yeah.
We do have to take a brief break,
course.
unfortunately, but we will be right back after these messages.